So I discovered something about the having the gas can on here. It almost does work as a security feature for getting to the tanks, because if the gas can is locked, then you can't get this cover off at all. So that's a 2-in-1. Awesome. Alright, so yeah, you even have to take the whole thing off. I was watching one YouTuber, and I'm going to find this out, which kind of confused me. He said he switched to the 30-pound tanks instead of the 20-pound tanks because it was cheaper than swapping them out. But I was confused because the last I recall, you can take your 20-pound tanks and get them filled. So the issue why I wouldn't want to do the 30-pound tanks is it's more weight, and I don't want to add more weight unnecessarily. What I mean unnecessarily is, so far the propane has actually lasted us a long time. In the total length we've used this camper, we've only emptied one tank. That's including when we ran heat several nights. And the other tank still feels like it's at least a half full. So I don't know that it's necessary to carry the extra weight, but I could change that. I could change my mind on that later as we go. But in the meantime, I'm going to take these tanks and see if I can get them filled, because that was confusing to me, because I thought you could just get these tanks filled at a regular place and it wasn't anything special about them. I mean, it's the same valve, so that was confusing on why you would change tanks just to save cost on the fill, because you wouldn't necessarily just swap them out anyway. You would just get them filled. And I know it sounds ridiculous that I'm worried about weight, but I want you to think about it. Remember, the axle can only handle 3,500 pounds, and we were only 100 pounds under that when it was attached to our vehicle with the load distribution hitch. So every pound we add is taking away from that. Now that was with full water, but there's times where we're going to want to haul water depending on where we're going. If our next campsite doesn't have water, we want to make sure we have water with us. So when you figure that, plus we just added 22 pounds for changing the toilet out to the nicer toilet because the other one was junk, we're roughly now only 75 pounds under what the axle can actually hold. So this is why I don't unnecessarily want to get 30-pound tanks and stick with the 20-pound tanks. With that being said, in future, I don't think I would ever get a single axle trailer again for this reason. I think the vehicle would have done fine at the high altitudes pulling over the mountains, even with the extra 300 or 400 pounds from another axle. And it would give us that little margin that we want for our camper, where we wouldn't have to worry about how much is actually being put on that axle. So that would be my word of advice. In spite of all the other issues on this camper, if you can get a camper that's 3,000 pounds with a single axle, or a camper that's 3,400 pounds with a double axle, go the double axle. I wouldn't even, in hindsight, this was a dumb idea. Just go the double axle. You're not going to regret it. You will have regrets about the single axle when you realize how close you're cutting it on what you can carry. Alright, so our packages came today, but not everything that we need. I did order this. I don't know how well it's going to work, but I thought it'd be good to have something along the way. This is to help deal with strip screws and wood, epoxy like putty that you put in the holes and hardens. So I don't know if this is going to help or not, but I figured I should be prepared. So we got that. Yesterday at the dollar store we bought some super glue. When I was doing the vent on the air conditioner, cleaning that filter, they break really easy, so I'm going to glue that. Be aware of that. Be very careful with that cover on that air conditioner. And then Robin got, because ice is kind of a pain. Now it only works if you have AC, but we got an ice maker. I can't just buy huge bags of ice every time and expect to fit it in my freezer if I have other stuff in my freezer. So it is, we got it. We had some points left from Best Buy. Best Buy, I'm not sponsored by Best Buy, but I think Best Buy and Geek Squad are awesome. You shop there regularly for your stuff, you're going to save a lot of money. It's a lot easier than returning to Amazon. You get rewards coming out your ears. We ended up paying $16 for this. That's right, 16 bucks because of all the rewards that we had built up at Best Buy. So anyway, we got this.
We also got a free Apple Pen.
Oh, and we also
didn't pay for it
we didn't have to pay for a free Apple Pen either. So that was all free.
Second generation Apple.
And we shop. It was cheaper than buying the stuff that we bought somewhere else, and we got all those rewards. So again, Best Buy rocks. Okay.
I guess these are the feet for it, or something. I know they're not just rocks, are they?
Might be packing just to keep the edges solid.
That's pretty high.
Well, it's packed pretty well. They even reinforced the sides. Pretty impressive. Not enough room, not enough room. It's kind of big, we'll have to keep it in the car. Wow, they got this thing really packed well. It's because it is a little tiny freezer. So it's got refrigerant in it and they want to keep it intact. I guess you just add water until the add water light goes off. So it's pumping water into the little ice cube tray up there.
So we can time it.
Not sure what that does. Yeah, okay, so it's still pumping water and the water's overflowing and then going back into the bottom, so that's a little weird. But let's just go ahead and let it go. Okay, we're going to time this and see how it does. So if you're looking at this ice maker, watch us on the remaining 12 weeks of our journey. I guarantee you, if I don't like it, you will hear about it.
So that took 8 minutes.
How is it? It's hollow. It's a hollow ice.
Yeah, it's a bullet.
Is that how? That isn't how
It's a bullet.
Sonic Ice is.
No, it is not. But the smaller ones are more like Sonic Ice. They're not going to be Sonic Ice. You have to get a $400 maker for it to be Sonic Ice.
So it's like a little bullet.
Yes. Don't eat it. You have to discard it.
It does break nice and easy.
Don't eat it.
But I wanted to.
No.
All right, so I'm going to go get some remaining hardware I need to hook up the tank heaters, and we're going to get some of the command
It's really
strips.
quiet.
Right, anything's quiet compared to the air conditioner. And I'm going to get work done today, and today's just going to be a work day, and we'll let you see our progress. It takes about 10 minutes to create the batch of ice, and this is what it created in 10 minutes. It's nice looking ice. I don't think it's melting too fast. That's actually pretty solid. That's really, look at that. I mean, I'm holding it in my hand, it's not dissolving. But because it's hollow, it's still soft to chew. When you put it in your mouth, it's not like it's hard ice. So that's cool.
7, 8.
This is 8, so about 9.
9. So it is the same as everything else. It's just taken about 10 minutes so far. Maybe it starts to get faster. I don't know.
So that's cool. I'm pleased so far.
But still though, 10 minutes for ice, that's really not a big deal.
No, that's really good. All right, so we're gonna head to the store finally and get our stuff. All right, I got these 2 bottles filled. So I got both of these filled. This one was already down a quarter of a tank. This one was completely empty. Total cost to fill was less than 14 bucks. Now he did have the tanks there that you could just swap out, and maybe some places that have those tanks won't fill if they have the option to swap out because they want to make more money off of you. So maybe you might not be able to do that everywhere. But this guy at Federal Gas here in Delta, he's like, yeah, sure, I'll fill these, no worries. So I kind of like the idea of keeping it as 20. Plus, if you're somewhere for some reason you can't just get it filled and you need to do an exchange, you don't want to give up a 30-pound tank for a 20. So even though it's more expensive, you still have the exchange option. But I think I'm going to stick with the 20 pounds. I'm happy with that. All right, all back together. And as I was saying, it's not a real good theft deterrent, but it's still a theft deterrent. They can't get this off unless this is off. And I got a lock on that. Now, in reality, if they investigate, and they can take a big wrench and loosen this off, but maybe they won't notice that. But for the most part, it's pretty good. It definitely will slow them down. I really can't wait till I'm done getting all this stuff put in. This trailer is a mess. So if you saw Robin's first attempt to try to cook in the oven when we were at up in Decorah area at the Upper Iowa River, you noticed that it didn't work. We had a terrible time. Everything was burnt. Basically what we found out is move that rack as high as you can go, which basically puts it in the center of the oven, because the burner is actually pretty high in the oven. So once we did that, Robin tried pizza. Was it pizzas that we did?
Yeah.
We did pizzas that came out okay. Well, you did pizza, I didn't.
Yeah, it was just one pizza, but yeah, it came out fine.
It wasn't burnt, and she did a tater tot casserole.
It's not burnt on the bottom, it's not burnt on top.
Yep, we did a tater tot casserole in the oven, and it came out perfectly. Perfectly, you say? Perfectly?
I think so.
So that's the secret. Just move that rack as high as it'll go.
In her ice.
So this is the beer I picked up at the local store.
Beer and ice, that's the important stuff.
Patagonia. Patagonia? Patagonia.
Is that what it
It
is?
says buy a case, plant a tree.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
You only planted a fourth of a tree.
Why? I bought a case. What's
When
a,
you bought a 6-pack.
oh, what's a case?
24, I think.
Oh,
Maybe 12, I don't know.
do they not plant a tree if you don't buy a whole case?
Maybe if maybe you planted a fourth of a tree.
I planted a fourth of a tree. Mm-hmm. It's not bad.
You and 4 other people.
It's not a bad beer. So I got those heaters mounted, but there's really no way to tell if they're working yet because it's not cold enough. The thermostat on the heater will not even kick on until 45 degrees. And it's connected to a water tank, so that means it's going to have to get significantly colder before it would even kick on. Even if I had a switch that had the pilot light on it, I don't think it would tell me anything because no current's going to be flowing through that heater until it gets really cold. So I just hope I got it right. I did put a fuse in line, and it's running off that socket right down there, which is GFI, just like everything on the camper. So we should be good to go. Like a couple other things is I picked up this little external thermometer from Walmart, and I'm going to have that by the tank when we're parked and we think it's going to get cold, and that way I can monitor roughly what it is out there in the proximity of the tank. We've been getting, what did we get these hooks for? Oh, for your purse and stuff. We've been getting some command strips and getting them all stuck up. We got a broom. We had a little dust broom, but that was a little painful to use. So we got that broom right there. The trailer is not level. It's apparently settled over the last few days. But we went ahead and got this. And I'm going to obsess about that never hanging straight. Which, by the way, any of these things, if you're hanging abrasive stuff on them, you should take it off while moving. So when we actually go to travel, we take that broom off because it's going to be swinging there and it'll be rubbing against the door, and it'll eventually leave a mark. So take it off. Same with, I got a place to hang my keys up here, and I have a spare set of keys that I keep in there. Again, I won't want to leave them there while we're driving down the road, or it'll put a nice wear mark on the wall. So little things like that. We got another command strip thing that we put there so we can hang our sweatshirts and stuff up and out of the way. And then we needed something to hang Robin's purses and stuff because for some reason she's got to have multiple purses, and we thought we
Really, any bags.
or any bags, maybe right here, right?
I was gonna do pictures there.
Oh, you're going to do pictures there? Anyway, we got to figure out where we're going to put those, but it'll be a good way to hang bags out of the way. One thing to keep in mind if you're using the something like the Wii Boost is you're gonna have excess wire. Don't roll it up. Do not roll up the excess wire and tie it up. What you'll end up doing is creating a coil, and you're gonna change the impedance of the antenna, and then it won't work right. I got a little hook right here, keeping it taut. I run it taut all the way underneath, and then I run it in around here and into the wall in here, which is wide open. That cable is just laying in there nice and free, not wound up or anything, just as loose as possible. Again, keep in mind this amplifier and everything is configured for 50 ohms. If you start putting a coil in that cable, you're going to change it, and it won't be 50 ohms, and you will not get good signal. I forgot about that. I coiled it up, and instantly it didn't even work anymore. As soon as I uncoiled it, put the cable free in there, so it's not coiled up, everything was fine. I should have known that, because that's the thing you learn when you're a ham operator. That's how you make antennas match, is you can put coils in the cable and stuff. So do not coil it up. Let the cable run as free as possible. Well, the cool part that I see so far about this ice maker is you still want to keep making larger of them?
You can, well, yeah.
The cool part is if the ice melts, it just goes back in the bottom and it just recycles the water. So even though it's only, yeah, it's actually, so far it's working really, really well. The ice is really, this is the bigger ones. They're really solid. So yeah, that's good.
Pretty big right now.
Well, it's
One.
getting it all dirty.
There you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I think they get a little bigger though.
That's good ice.
It's better when you put it in water. It like softens it up right away.
But I'm so far pleased. We'll see how it does the rest of the trip. I do think that's going to work pretty nicely.
It already is.
Yeah, it is.
I have an entire.
Now I don't have to do a run to the convenience store every time I want ice.
That is correct.
All right. It does take a bit of room, but we can put it in the car when we don't need it.